Madison Elementary School District Board, Governing Board. And we are going to hear from the students from Madison Traditional Academy. They will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Did you want to come up to the...
Come on up front.
Yes.
A very extinguished.
Yes, very impressive group of students.
All right, when you're ready, and then just the flag's right here.
You guys start us off.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much and for your extraordinary presentations. Ms. Humphrey, can you please call the roll?
President Kazi.
Here.
Vice President Hunt.
Here.
Member Gresham.
Here.
Member Thompson.
Present.
Member Holcomb.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you so much. We've already approved the agenda, correct? Great. All right. Now moving along to, is there a need for an executive session? We've already had one, so I suspect there is not. Dr. Guerin, communications and announcements.
President Kazi, that was because we already did it. That went so quickly.
I know, it went so fast.
All right, I am very pleased to welcome Ms. Anna Andrews to the podium, our MDTCA president.
All right, thank you. The You Make the Difference in Shining Star Awards are presented by the Madison District Classified, Certified, and Classroom Teachers Association and Madison Administration to recognize the certified and classified staff who truly demonstrate Madison's vision of inspiring passion for learning and leading in an ever-changing world. All right, and tonight's You Make the Difference Award recipient is Chris Petty. Each morning at Madison Traditional Academy, part of what welcomes our community onto this campus is Mr. Chris Petty, out at the car line, helping kids out of cars, greeting families by name as they start their day. It is a small moment that says a lot about who he is. Then he heads inside and pours that same, he heads inside and pours that same energy into everything else he does. On any given week, Mr. Petty might be managing the lunchroom through all 9 periods, then leading instruction in an 8th grade classroom, then stepping into kinder, then running intervention groups, then sitting one-on-one with a 3rd grader for state test prep. The role changes, the age group changes, the need changes, and without hesitation, without complaint, Mr. Petty just shows up for all of it, every single time. That kind of flexibility is truly rare, and we do not take it for granted. Most people have a lane. Mr. Petty does not have a lane. He has the whole building, and he embraces every corner of it. What makes him so extraordinary is not just the range of what he takes on, but the genuine warmth, positivity, and care he brings to every assignment. Mr. Petty does not just survive a sub-plan, he thrives on it. He walks into any room and makes it better simply by being there. Ask any student at MTA who Mr. Petty is and watch their face light up. He has built something real with the kids at this school, a trust and a warmth that does not come from a job title. It comes from showing up for them day after day with kindness and consistency. Parents feel it too. His name comes up again and again in conversations as one of the incredible staff members at MTA. He is one of those people that families are simply grateful for, a warm, familiar presence that makes this school feel like a place where their children are truly cared for. Mr. Petty, From the car line to the classroom and everywhere in between, you bring joy, dedication, and heart to this school every single day. We are so lucky to have you. He's, I know. Where is he heating now?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Obviously a man of intelligence with a beard like that.
Congratulations.
Okay, we're going to have you go right here. That's exactly what we had envisioned with the resident guest teacher. Someone who would do everything all the time. Everything. Would you like to say something?
It was a nice surprise. I walked in and I get to see some of my students doing amazing presentations. So that was actually cool. I didn't even know that was going on. So no, I thank you for the recognition, I guess, and the break from. I've been at the hospital all day, so it's a nice break.
I'm glad we're better than that.
Yes, yes. Small bar. Oh, sorry. Ooh, awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for all you
Thank
do.
you. Thank you.
All right, and tonight's Shining Star Award recipient is Leslie Schultz. As one of our crossing guards here at Madison Traditional Academy, Leslie is one of the first faces our students and families see each morning and one of the last they see at the end of the day. And she shows up for that responsibility with kindness, consistency, and a genuine care for every single child who crosses her path, literally. Safety is her job and she takes it seriously. Every family that trusts us with their child can rest a little easier knowing Leslie is out there watching over our kids and making sure they get where they need to go. But what makes Leslie truly special is the heart she brings to it. She is personable, she is warm, and students are genuinely glad to see her. We are also so grateful for the partnership she has built with Mr. Tim, our longstanding crossing guard, who has been a cornerstone of this community for years. Together, they are an incredible team, dependable, dedicated, and deeply committed to the safety and well-being of our students. That kind of teamwork does not happen by accident. It takes someone who shows up with the right spirit every single day, and Leslie does exactly that. What makes this even more meaningful is that Leslie brings with her a long and celebrated career in education and educational leadership. She has given so much to this field over the years, and she chooses to spend her time with us, with our students at MTA. We do not take that lightly. We are truly lucky she is here, and our community is richer for it. Leslie, thank you for the care and dedication you pour into this community. Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. So kind. So much. Oh my goodness, what a treat. Oh, appreciate it. Congratulations. Thank you so much, so appreciative. Absolutely, Mr. Tim and I are a team. Would you like to say something? I think what I would like to say is about 18 months ago, my husband had a massive stroke, and I had to quit my job as a principal of a school I had just opened. And I really wondered if I would ever have the opportunity to come back to the field that I just love. And MTA gave me that opportunity. And not only have I met kids and parents and neighbors incredibly, because I walk to work every day, I met Mr. Tim, who is an incredible teammate, supervisor, boss, guard of the children, and guide of the crosswalk. So very grateful that MTA gave me a chance.
Well, thank you.
folks here. Thanks so much.
Congratulations again to all of our extraordinary award winners. Moving along to item 4.2, Superintendent Report. Dr. Guerin.
President Kazi, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. I want to express my deepest gratitude to Executive Director of the Foundation, Molly Dodd, and the entire Foundation board and team of volunteers for hosting an incredible event, the Denim and Dynams Gala, to benefit the Madison Education Foundation. It was this Saturday night, and wow, the catering from our neighborhood Lucy's, dancing with the band, board members line dancing, displays of student art, the gaming, photo booths, all of the things contributed to such a fantastic event. I really didn't see one person not having an incredible time. All proceeds will directly benefit Madison students. And I just want to comment that Molly will be presenting at our next board meeting, and this round of teacher grants, they gave away more grants than they ever have before. So every dime that goes into the foundation, you see it go directly to the classroom. Molly will be at our May meeting, and we'll get to hear all about it. Just so grateful for every little detail that went into making the night special and to benefit our students. So we've been busy hiring some assistant principals. Dr. Lomeli supported our two newest principals in the process, and as you know, Madison has quite a robust process for hiring administrators. I can tell that tale myself. We also had an opening at Madison #1, so Dr. Lomeli supported that as well. Staff members from both schools were very involved in both MTA and SIMUS, and so I'm pleased to recommend all three experienced administrators for their roles, and they'll be on the consent agenda. We had well over 40 applicants, and we have hired people that have experience in the assistant principal role. So it was an extremely competitive process. First, you'll get to meet Laura Dryden, who is returning to Madison. She was a teacher at Rose Lane. She will be Madison SIMUS's assistant principal should she be approved tonight. She began her teaching career as a student teacher with us and a teacher. And then she has several years of experience as an instructional coach and an assistant principal, and actually 6 years of experience as an assistant principal. She is quite the catch, and we're very excited to recommend her to you tonight. Stephen Combs will be recommended for the assistant principal at Madison Traditional Academy. Stephen comes to Madison with over 18 years of teaching experience, and a lot of that is in the middle school and secondary roles, so that really balances out our principal-assistant principal combo. He has 5 years an assistant principal and several years in leadership. We are very excited to have him join the team, and all the MTA teachers and staff were involved in that process as well. Finally, we had our assistant principal, Josh Dugan. He's going to take an assistant principal position at the high school level. So he really missed the high school. So that opened up an assistant principal at #1. And as you know, Maya Rodriguez has been the dean for a couple years. So we are recommending her for the assistant principal at #1, which will really create a seamless transition, especially with the dean position going away. So she mostly recently served for 2 years as Dean of Students, and she also helped out at Madison Meadows. So should you approve all 3 assistant principals, we will invite them to the next meeting to meet the board and the community, pending board approval, of course. So on a more serious note, it is with deep sadness that we share that one of our 4th grade students, Janiyah Mason, recently passed away. Janiyah will be missed by the Madison SIMUS community, and our thoughts are with her family, teachers and staff, and students during this very difficult time. Janiyah Mason's memorial last Saturday was at the SIMUS Garden, where her family, teachers, staff, parents, and students gathered to remember her and release butterflies. I have asked Board Member Hunt to say a few words and lead us in a moment of silence.
Thank you, Dr. Guerin. Yes, Janiyah Mason, the Simus community is heartbroken at her loss and her passing. To her family, to her siblings, to her teachers, principal, the staff at Simus, and as my family knew her, to her friends, she was a shining light. Somebody who brightened every room that she came into. I asked my daughter to describe her, and she said fun, caring, loving, and welcoming. And I think anybody who was lucky enough and honored enough to get to be around Janiyah during her life would share those same words. So I hope that we say her name, that we continue to mention her name and don't let her slip from our memories, the beautiful shining light that was Janiyah Mason. So now, please join me in a moment of silence for Simus fourth grader Janiyah Mason. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Hunt and Dr. Guerin, for the beautiful remembrance of Janiyah. Let's move along to Governing Board Member reports. Mr. Holcomb.
Yes, I just want to follow up on that. I went to the memorial at Simus, and I went there to sort of support and uplift the family. It was very moving. In fact, I ended up being uplifted in that too, and it really brought home for me how important what we do in trying to build a community, to build a culture in our schools, because her grandmother brought it forward. She was a gift to the school, but her family is also a gift, and it is reciprocal. You could tell how much the school and the community was a gift to their family, and that level of support. We do a great job of an education, but I was very much moved by the community that is built and our efforts to do that. It really makes a difference. I thought that was great. I think, and I do want to also mention the meetings that we had with various celebrities in the back of the room for the Madison Traditional Academy. I found out that Queen Elizabeth has yet to watch Elizabeth Taylor's, or excuse me, Cleopatra has not watched Elizabeth Taylor's showing of her, and she's now going to go watch the movie. And I found that Queen Elizabeth actually very much enjoyed the shtick that was done when she jumped out of a helicopter at the opening ceremonies for the Olympics. The kids did a wonderful job. Very quick speakers, as they were. And I also want to mention the gala. I had a number of people there, and I had people uniformly say it's the best thing that they've been to. I had one say they missed out on buying something at the silent auction, but they were going to donate to because they had such a great time. And so people are already asking me, okay, make sure you invite them next year. All that is another thing that just shows the importance of our community to us. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holcomb. Mr. Hunt.
Yes, just to start to talk about Janiyah, I just want to say I was there on campus as the news was passed around with my daughter, and seeing the response of the administration, the response of the care team, and literally watching it all kind of move into place just made me incredibly proud as a member of this community, and just want to send that to everybody who responded that day and took care of those kiddos. And it continues to take care of those kiddos. It made me proud to be part of this community and part of this district. So just incredible kudos to everybody who was on the front lines and continue to be on the front lines of that. We don't learn who we are and what resilience we have in the easy times. We learn in the really hard times. And I think we saw that we're a great community in the really hard times. To other components, congratulations to our newest members of the administration and coming in to our vice principals. Really great to have some new faces and some familiar faces on the team. Look forward to working with everybody, and congrats. Also want to say to the MTA students, incredible work. I remember 2 of my kids going through that and being like, they're never going to be able to memorize all of this, and they do. And then guess what? Once they get to high school and they take AP Gov, and they need to memorize a bunch of stuff, those MTA kids do really well. So great job there. And then finally, just close out by saying congratulations to all the teams that are in the playoffs. I think there's a baseball championship maybe today, and some others going on. So good luck to all the spring sports as we get to championship season, and thanks for representing this district well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Ms. Gresham.
Thank you. I want to start out with my deepest condolences for Jania's family and friends. It's always a tragedy when we lose any of our students. So our hearts are with them. And I was also at the gala on Saturday. I never thought I would be dancing on the stage with Mr. Holcomb, but there we were. And he has some moves, that guy. I saw some fancy footwork out of you over there. So it was fun, and I wish some other people had been on the auction. I started bidding thinking people would start bidding, and then I ended up with like a lot of auction items. So it's fine. It's awesome. I'm happy to do that. But I think that's all we've got going on right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. Mrs. Thompson.
I too want to share my condolences to Jania's family and friends. I was able to attend the memorial service over at Simus, and it really was just beautiful opportunity for the school community and her family to connect and remember her in a really lovely way. Thank you for letting us be a part of that. I also, too, want to recognize the care team. It's not only our students who are going through the loss of a friend, but the teachers and administrators at that school as well. And so happy that we have supports in place to be able to help any members of our community going through a loss. I too want to recognize our middle school spring sports. I think my kiddo was at a track meet last week and bested his triple jump by 1 foot 9 inches, his best. So I was like, I can't even believe you went that far. But watching the kids run and throw and do and jump and all the things they were doing is really incredible. You could see the joy that they have, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of those students at our end of year ceremony, where we recognize those students who not only performed on the field well, but also academically did fantastic during the season as well. Want to thank everybody for testing season, which is almost done. I think we've just got a couple more MAP tests to go, and we'll be wrapping that up. So thanks to all the students and parents for being ready to take those tests and wrap things up, and for the perseverance of staff as we get those finished as well. I also want to thank our MTA students who presented today. It was incredible. They all had they had done so much work to learn about the people they were representing, and then to hear about why each one of them picked the person that they did was pretty inspiring. I also want to congratulate all our award recipients today. Thanks for all you do for the Madison community. And also finally, thank you for all the hard work with the gala. I wasn't able to attend, but I was there beforehand and saw the wanted posters and of the board members and the superintendent and all the great prizes. It just looked like it was going to be a wonderful event. Thank you for all who attended, for your support of all the things that Madison Education is able to provide for our students across the. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson.
Side note, we will be receiving those wanted posters, so we get to keep them, by the way.
Yes, they will just be distributed. I want to just echo the wise comments of my fellow board members, especially as it relates to the student we lost, Jania. I think it's really important in these moments that we remember that the reason we have social emotional learning is to help our students through these types of moments, so that we have the language and the framework to talk about our feelings, because they are real, and grief is work and it's a process. And because of the foresight of this board and our administration and everyone in the schools that ensure that curriculum is delivered to our students, we help allow our students to remain healthy even in these really trying moments of life. So I just think that is an important thing for us to recognize, that is why we do this work, for these moments. I want to just really hold up Molly Dodd. The woman is a force. I mean, the creative energy that she brings to our fundraising events for the Madison Education Foundation, not one single detail is not considered, more than you would ever imagine. And so I hope that we give her a moment to just, when she's here at our next meeting, to hold her up, because I don't think she sleeps, frankly, before these events. I think she puts it all in, and so I assume she is rightly exhausted, but I think we really need to hold her up, because not only did she do a great job from that kind of the visual perspective of it, but from the fundraising, the raising of funds for the sponsorships. And thank you to everyone that played a role in bringing in silent auction items. Thank you for buying them all. I lost on a few of those, so I'm curious if you won them. Everyone's contributions allow us to raise the funds that are necessary to provide those important grants. And then finally, I wanted to make sure that the board was aware that the legislature has released their budget today. I want you all to stay engaged in the process. At this point, things are going to be, it's a tight budget year. And so I hope that we have conversations that reflect that, but also I'm hoping that we don't see the pain in public education that maybe other parts of the state might experience, because we don't have any room to cut at this point, as we all know. All right, moving right along to the consent agenda, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Ms. Thompson and seconded by Mr. Holcomb. Please vote. Thank you.
It flashed for a second.
Yeah, my screen isn't working, so I might, yeah, and that passes unanimously. Moving along, we're going to move our information items down to 8 and move action items up, because we have some board members that might need to leave earlier than those action items might be on the agenda. So we'll move along to item 8.1, bond sale authorization. Dr. Guerin. Oh, call to the public. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, call to the public. Pursuant to board policy, time has been set aside for a call to the public. This is an opportunity for individuals to address the entire board in a public setting to express their views or concerns. State law limits our ability to respond to comments made during the call to the public. However, we do hear your remarks and ask the superintendent to follow up and to provide us with information regarding any issues raised. To keep us on schedule, each speaker has no more than 3 minutes. Are there any calls to the public? Ms. Humphrey?
We have no calls to public today.
Thank you. And we will move back to item 8.1, bond sale authorization. Dr. Guerin.
President Causey, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, I'll turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Thompson.
Good evening, everyone. Well, if you're driving down Rose Lane, you might notice a few things happening over there. Just a few construction vehicles and maybe a building, some things like that. But in seriousness, this evening, this authorization for, education to our public, when the public authorizes our bonds, we don't get all of the money up front. We have to go out and sell the bonds. And so this is continuing the wonderful support that the community provided in 2023 in authorizing bond expenditures. And this is just a continuation of the sale so that we have the funds available to continue the work at Rose Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, then I'll entertain a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of school improvement bonds of the district.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Holcomb and seconded by Ms. Thompson to approve the resolution as presented. Please vote. Did you see anything?
It flashed again.
Then that motion carries as well. Oh, this system is so fun. Moving along to item 8.2, amended school year calendars, 26, 27, and 28. Dr. Guerin.
President Kazi, Vice President Hunt, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. I think it's trying to keep us on our toes at the end of the year, the Diligent program. So I'm bringing forward a small amendment to the calendars for 26, 27, 27, 28 school year. Those two calendars have already been completed by our calendar committee, and we tried something new this year. We tried a Monday spring recess after testing instead of the Friday off before the Easter holiday. We found that Friday before Easter, we had significant staff absences and student absences. So therefore, even though we really all enjoyed yesterday off with the testing season ending, and as Ms. Thompson said, almost the MAP testing almost over, we really need to switch it back because it's difficult when you have so many student absences and some staff absences as well. So this calendar amendment changes those back for the 26, 27, 27, 28. Next year, the calendar committee will convene to start working on the next 3 or 4 calendars. The other small adjustment, there is a delay in the start of school year because the way the calendar lays out. So there is an additional few weeks where employees that select pay every 2 weeks would not get paid. So we're offering a 27 pay option, and that also needs to be reflected on the calendar because some employees that elect that option will have a different start date. So that is only noted on the 26-27 school year calendar. It only impacts that and is noted at the bottom. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Ms. Marshall and I did circle back with the leaders of the calendar committee and MDTCA, and they all supported this adjustment.
Excellent. Are there any questions for Dr. Guerin? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended calendars as presented.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved by Ms. Thompson and seconded by Ms. Gresham to approve the amended calendars as presented. Please vote. And that motion carries. Moving back to item 7.1, information items, Madison Highland Prep School Report. Dr. Guerin.
President Kazi, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, I believe I made a promise to Dr. Clark that he would not be the last item on the board meeting for however many years in a row. And I think the record needs to note that I have kept my promise to both Carrie and Rosie. They are first on their information item, though they never complained. They never would. They never would.
Well, since they never complained, shall we move them to the end of the?
Maybe we should.
Just for old time's sake.
So we truly value our partnership with Madison Highland Prep, and I'm very excited for them to come to the podium to hear an update.
You know, some schools just seem to have figured out the secret sauce for success. Today, we're taking a look at one of them, Madison Highland Prep. We're going to dig into the data, the stories, and figure out what really makes the school a powerhouse in STEM education. Let's get right into it. So, at the very core of everything they do is this mission, fostering tomorrow's STEM innovators and leaders. I mean, that's a pretty bold statement, right? It sets a really high bar. This isn't just about teaching science and math, it's about actually shaping the future. Okay, it's one thing to have a great mission statement on a website, but how does that actually play out in the real world? What are the programs, what's the culture like that turns that big vision into reality for students every day? Well, that's what we're here to find out. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the proof, the cold, hard results. Then the academic engine that drives those numbers. After that, we'll see their impact outside the classroom. And finally, how they're building paths to the future. All right, let's start with the proof. Because when you want to know if a school is delivering, the rankings are a pretty good place to start. And wow, MHP's performance is seriously impressive. So get this. Out of almost 18,000 high schools across the entire U.S., Madison Highland Prep is ranked in the top 1,000. That's incredible. That alone puts them in a pretty elite club. And if we zoom into their home state of Arizona, the picture gets even clearer. Number 19. We're not just talking good here. We're talking about being one of the absolute best schools the state has to offer. And look, this isn't just some random list. This comes from U.S. News and World Report, one of the most respected names out there. They don't just hand out titles like this. This is a seal of approval, a sign of real, verified excellence. But for me, this might be the most telling stat of all. Consistency. The Arizona Department of Education has given MHP an A grade every single year since their first report card came out. This isn't a fluke, it's a culture. So, the big question is, how do they do it? So, how do you get rankings like that? Well, it all comes down to a really powerful academic engine, one that's built from the ground up to get students ready not just for college, but for their careers. A huge piece of this puzzle is their advanced placement program. And this isn't some side thing for a few top students. It's just what they do here. Over 90% of seniors take an AP exam, and most of them pass with a score that can get them college credit. It's so clear this school pushes every single student to aim higher. And you can see exactly what that leads to right here. They make sure students get access to financial aid, landing them in the top 3 for FAFSA completion in the state. And the result? 100% of the senior class gets into college, and they've already raked in over $6 million in scholarships. That's not just prep, that is a launch pad. And where are they launching to? Just take a look. Yeah, a lot of them are heading to great in-state schools like ASU and U of A, but you also see kids going to huge names all over the country, UCLA, Howard, and even top-tier engineering schools like Embry-Riddle. It just shows you the kinds of doors they're opening. But look, launching students is about so much more than test scores and acceptance letters, right? It's about making sure they can use all that knowledge to do something that actually matters. Let's see how MHP builds innovators with some real heart. This is where the story gets really, really cool. I mean, it's one thing to learn about engineering in a class. It's a whole other thing to use those skills to totally change a 5-year-old boy's life. This is what STEM with a Purpose looks like. The engineering club, through a project called Makers of Change, actually designed and built custom assistive tech for a little boy named Levi with cerebral palsy. You combine that with their teams making it to state and national robotics competitions, plus huge individual awards, these students aren't just learning, they are doing. And their impact isn't just in these high-tech projects, it's all through the community. MHP students have volunteered at more than 15 different local organizations, from St. Mary's Food Bank to Madison Park. They're building a foundation of service right alongside their academics. Okay, so we've seen the top-tier performance, we've seen the real-world impact. But you know what? The best schools never, ever stand still. And that brings us to our last point, how MHP is innovating for the careers of tomorrow. And here it is. Starting in fall 2026, they're launching 2 brand new cutting-edge programs, a high-flying aviation academy and a hands-on welding and fabrication program. And these aren't just electives, they're full-blown career pathways. And what's so brilliant about these is how they connect high school directly to professional skills. The Aviation Academy is a partnership with a world-class university. The welding program uses industry-standard curriculum. It's all about giving these students a real, tangible head start in your careers. And the secret weapon here is something called dual enrollment. This is a total game changer. It basically means while these kids are still in high school, they're already earning college credits. It saves them time, it saves them a ton of money, and it's a direct bridge from their high school classroom to a career. So when you put it all together, the elite academics, the focus on making a real-world impact, and a clear vision for the future, you get a pretty powerful formula. Madison Highland Prep isn't just building a school, they're building innovators. And that really leaves just one question. What are those innovators going to build next? You know, some schools just seem to have figured out the secret sauce for success. Today, we're taking a look at one of them, Madison Highland Prep. We're going to dig into the data,
Madam President, Board President, members of the board, Cabinet. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to say Cabinet or individually, Assistant Superintendent Thompson and Marshall and everybody else, Mr. Brownlee and Danielle, of course, as well. It's great to be here. Thank you. Apologies for the shameless propaganda, but Rosie and I were trying to illustrate that we had some minor AI skills, and we thought it might be a change up for you instead of just doing the PowerPoint every year and throwing propaganda at you in another format. So we thought we would do that. It's great to be here. Year 12 of the school, under just about to be completed. So it's been so much fun and amazing. I'm going to let Rosie Rodriguez kick off some of the PowerPoint presentation slides.
All right. Well, thank you for having us. Do I just press the button or, okay. Oh, there we go. So the video already talked about some of the highlights, so I won't review them as far as our rankings go. Again, we are a PLTW distinguished school. Our FAFSA actually completion rate actually went up just a little bit. I think we're at 97% now. And then you can see the percentages that we got for each of the areas for being a platinum school for on the AP honor roll. This is, to me, just speaks volumes. So we have our first National Merit Scholar this year, Thomas Pine. Thank you. We have 2 recipients of the Dorrance Scholarship this year, which is super exciting, sorry. And as the video mentioned, we have VEX teams that qualified for state, and we actually have 2 of our C-Perch teams that are going to Maryland at the end of May to compete in the national competition, so that's exciting. Some other things with regards to sports, it was our inaugural year for girls flag football. AIA does a spirit competition, video competition every year, so we were voted in the top 3 for that this year. Varsity boys advanced to the state championship. Soccer, again, advanced to the state finals. Our varsity boys team is doing really well this year, and we're hoping to make it into the playoffs. And then our cheer, it's been a few years, but they won the bronze award in the dual desert competition. Some of the things we've done in the community, apart from what was mentioned in the video. So our NHS members volunteered at Simus and Rose Lane. We partnered with Madison Park for their electronics drive. We had student volunteers at Madison Park's 21st Century program. 3 park students are currently taking Spanish 1 with us. We have one of our freshmen who's a Madison Park alumni who's helping with their softball team, and we're looking at adding one of Madison Park's 8th graders next year to take Calc 1 with us, and then Calc 2 in the spring. These are just some other places that our students have volunteered at. This goes into the new programs, and so this new aviation academy that we're starting is amazing, and it's a partnership with Embry-Riddle, and so our students pretty much will be able to earn most of their all of the items that they need for their pilot license, minus some flight hours that they're going to need to get. But if they get them outside on their own, they can graduate already having their private pilot license. So super excited about that. And Dr. Clark, if you have questions, can speak more to that. And then each of the campuses will have the welding and fabrication, so we're excited about that. This just goes over just what they will be earning. And you guys have the PowerPoint, so unless you have specific questions for the sake of time, I will keep going. This goes over the welding and fabrication. We are also introducing, hence the video, a new PLTW artificial intelligence course. So our students have to earn at least 3 college level engineering credits, so this will be one of the classes that they will be able to take. This is our report card. And then we actually, right now, our seniors have earned even more money in scholarships, so right now they're at about 7.2. The video just showed where students were committed to. This slide shows where all of our seniors have been admitted to. So most of them still continue to stay in state. However, this year we've had more seniors spread their wings and apply to schools out of state, so that's exciting.
Your National Merit Scholar, where is he going?
I think he's staying local and going to ASU.
Go Devils.
I know it's hard to get them to leave the nest, but we're trying. And then this is just a list of different colleges and universities that our class of 2026 have been admitted to. And then that's it.
Thank you so much. And I had to say this because making me, but whatever AI voice they were using is the voice, I swear, of the woman who's the host of Crime Junkies. I'm sorry, but
I played around with it a little bit.
I really believe it is her voice, Ashley somebody. Not that I listen to that podcast all
But it
the
was
time.
the one female voice was a little softer on the ears.
Yeah. Great presentation. Questions from any board members?
I just had a question. How's enrollment looking? And anyway, just as it relates to our business. Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that, or do you want me to speak?
Well, you can. You can. Go ahead.
So we are actually on a wait list right now for next year's freshman class, and more than half of our incoming freshman class, we have 163, and just a little over 100 are Madison students.
You know, enrollment's kind of an interesting thing because we only have so much space. So we try to hit a perfect number with regard to, you know, the class size, with regard to this year, what did you hit, 506?
I think we were higher.
Yeah,
We were at
and
like
it was our biggest class, but we always get a little nervous once it starts inching up there because you don't know what's going to show up on the first day of school, and you don't want too many. So this year it was, you know, so we kind of have been able to be kind of as big as we wanted for the most part, but we really love that, you know, somewhere between 400 and 500, you know, that total student load with a certain amount of students that you work with. We think that's really important. Yeah.
Mr. Holcomb?
Yeah, in fact, as I remember when we were talking, you were about 125 a class, trying to have four classes was always sort of your, as I understood, your target. And I appreciate that you're doing well in athletics and particularly girls flag football. I don't think you remember your first year that you had sports. You came and made a presentation, and I asked you how your football team was going to do, and you said, do you remember what you said?
I do.
What was it?
I said we have a great aerial game. It's our players' bodies flying through the air. Yeah.
Yes, and
those were dark times.
Well, it was a small enrollment, and all you had basically all freshmen, or freshmen and sophomores. And you hit on it a little bit. I'm always interested in how the interaction and that with Park is going on campus and the support that you provide, and we're always looking for as much of that as possible to get the kids to go. And how is that working out?
Well, I'll speak in the overview, and then I'll let Ms. Rodriguez get more granular. You know, we have over 150 NHS kids, give or take, every year. So we really have to scramble to try to find activities for them. And so we can do more. We can always do more. They can always get involved in more things. They're just, we're at your service. But that stated, go ahead on the day-to-day.
On the day-to-day. Definitely looking for more opportunities, particularly at Park, to tutor the students, because we have so many students. We started something on our campus this year where all of our AP students have to tutor their peers once a week on a schedule, and that's been really helpful, and I'd love for that to transition and provide that support at any of the Madison middle schools, or even reading to the elementary kids would be awesome, because our kids love going out and just providing that service to the community. But we were fortunate, we had kids volunteer through the 21st Century program, and those kids had a lot of fun doing that, so.
Yeah, and I would suggest, I'm glad you mentioned the elementary, because providing that type of support to Camel View, I think, would be huge, particularly and it's sort of part of the pathway, because it's the same community, and they're same families that are going through, so to the extent you could do that at Camel View, that would be great.
Yeah, even if we can do like reading buddies or.
Well, and they have the robotics, and they're the things, you know, they've completed the evolution. They're actually a STEAM school, and someday I'm hoping that will finally get through on yours. But however you could, I think we really should explore taking advantage of that even more.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that really helped this year was going to the PTO luncheons and introducing myself to the presidents and giving my card out. And so we had a couple more reach out this year. So anytime those opportunities are there, just let me know.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Ms. Thompson.
First, I want to say thank you for offering to reach out, not just on the campus that you share with Madison Park, but being there for our other campuses as well. It's deeply appreciated. And I heard through the grapevine that it's those Madison students that you're getting aren't only from Park, they're from our other middle schools as well. So deeply appreciative of that. Was wondering if you could share with us your free and reduced lunch population. So what is the profile of the students that you're surveying?
Do you want to speak?
I can, you can.
Go ahead. You're not talking as much.
Okay, well, that's okay. It's not my time to shine. 63%, I think, and I think it was 63 last year. It's been as high as 66. It hovers in the 60s at our other two campuses as well. We really, like you, embrace and love our Title I identity and our school, our destination school for kiddos who can benefit from our programs.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but all of those statistics you shared about how wonderful those students are doing and what they're doing after they leave your nest is really incredible, because that isn't the norm with Title I students. And the fact that that you're taking those kids and helping them shine is really a testament to all the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Ms. Gresham?
Sure, I might as well go. Hi, guys. Just want to thank you for the tour last week. I got to go walk around and they showed me all the cool stuff, the flight simulator and all that. So thank you for that. And to reassure the park parents, I know there's some anxiety about sharing a campus with these big high schoolers, and it was super calm and peaceful. These are really good students that are like not getting shoved in lockers, if there were lockers or something like that. So it was very peaceful and nice environment. So just to reassure them, but thank you for the tour.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham.
If I could piggyback off of that really quick, as a parent who has kids on the park campus, as a parent who's volunteered on campus, your students do a great job. Everyone stays separated as they're supposed to, but haven't seen any issues as a parent. So I know that there's some anxiety about that, just as there is anxiety about fifth graders being around eighth graders. There's anxiety about the high school kids being on the campus, but haven't experienced anything like that as a parent on that campus. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. I just have a quick question about the aviation program. My husband at one point earned his private pilot's license, and it was spendy. And so I guess my question is, talk to me about when they have to earn the in-flight hours. How is that working financially? I would love to know and understand.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's pretty audacious. And that sounds a little self-serving. Let me say what I mean. It's us really taking a big leap of faith and heavily investing in something that we think is going to be successful, but at the end of the day, well, it just will be. So there's that. The first group of students is going to be a class of 30 kids coming from 3 campuses. So it's probably going to be 10 at each school. We figured out a way to double it maybe in the next year or in year 3, depending on how things work out relative to instructor availability and so forth. It's going to be open to juniors and seniors. So if you're a freshman, you're a sophomore, you have that to look forward to. We want our students to be really strong in their academics before, we think it's better for upperclassmen because it might be kind of tough for some of them to juggle. We've ordered a Redbird flight sim, and it's a really kind of it's a mid-level, but it's a commercial model. It's really nice, and that's a big purchase for us. But we're going to have that at our Surprise campus at our Fab Lab. And so the students from the other 2 schools, Madison, will be able to go there and get their flight hours. They'll be taking two courses as ground school. And then after that, which can be done obviously during one school year, and then after that, they will be able to knock out 2.5 hours in our flight sim at our schools. But then, they're going to be able to do their hours on the side with another flight school. and Shane Jones, our principal in Surprise, contacted me just before we left for this presentation and let me know that he has a new deal with a local flight school. They're very excited. They're going to supply us an instructor who's got some vision and wants to kind of be really fair with pricing for what he's doing with our kids on their hours. And then with the knowledge that if you're fair, you can anticipate more students coming your way, and then you can make some profit with volume. So he liked that. Sounds like that's going to happen. And as far as expenses for our kiddos, we haven't figured it out yet. There may be some minor expenses, but by and large, the school is going to shoulder 90% plus of the burden on the program, and we're just choosing to do it. Like we're just going to do it out of M&O, and we're going to make it work, and we think that it'll help our school to move into the future with being relevant to our students. So we're a college prep school. A lot of our kids go into laptop careers, as they say sometimes. But as we go forward, we also know that America's got to rebuild its infrastructure. We have a critical shortage of pilots in this country, and so we want to give that a treatment. And similarly, with rebuilding America's infrastructure, one of the critical shortages, one of the trades. We're not trying to become a trade school per se, but by golly, we're going to need welders. And so here's the deal: if you're going to, get your welding certificate, as a lot of students do in local area schools, that's fine. What's different about ours is that we're not going to have students partake of the welding and fabrication program just to, just to become a welder. We want them to then be a business owner. We want them to be able to scale it and create with it. So it'll be nuanced in that way. I was bit too much of a treatment to your question. Sorry.
No, it was great. I will say, my husband is a master's in finance. He's a smart guy, and getting his private pilot's license was a heavy lift. Like, I am really impressed that you guys are offering this program, because it's just, there's something I think about kids in high school doing hard things that really paves the way for a high level of success going forward. And they're gonna, when people say, like, you have your private license and you're 18, like, they're gonna not fully appreciate it until it comes back their way, like what they've accomplished. So I just think that's amazing. And then also, are you working with any local businesses on, like, collaborating with them on the welding and fabrication? Because I know there are businesses that are having a hard time finding, like, people in the future who are going to own businesses or going to be their suppliers or whatever. I just think,
we would love your help.
Okay, because I know Steve Macias is a former Madison parent and has a company. He's very involved in GPEC, but we will put you in touch with them.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just,
Mr. Holcomb?
if I may follow up, I'm glad you got into the welding, and I think that actually goes very well with a lot of the engineering, is being able to do that. And I think those types of trades, the way you're approaching it, not only provides a balance, but I think that's very much necessary. As a parent of a National Merit Scholar who is an electrician, there is that is a natural course. And in fact, he teaches with the union. And so if you want to have that kind of connection too, I think that would be a good thing to actually, the welding and electrical goes directly into all the high tech that you're doing. So I applaud you for doing that. It's very needed.
Thank you so much. We totally appreciate our collaboration with you. It's been a good 12 years, and we appreciate you coming back and sharing with us every year.
And I just want to mention Ms. Rodriguez has been coming to ALT meetings and PTO luncheons, and so all those opportunities really enhance the partnership. I know how busy you are, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving along to information item 7.2, food service and wellness update.
President Kazi, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, I'll turn it over to Mr. Thompson to introduce this item.
Well, we didn't do an exciting AI presentation. So we're going to go old school and just tell you what we need.
Your
You
intelligence is not artificial.
Mr. Thompson, you fed the board.
We fed the board.
You
That's
fed
true.
Delicious.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Guerin, and Cabinet. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present some of our program outcomes from this year. I have invited both Lexi Hernandez, she's our student wellness coordinator, and Melissa Harvey, who is our food service supervisor, specifically to talk about projects they've been involved with this year that they're very passionate about. So I want to just thank them for being here.
Okay, everyone's favorite. We brought back Top Chef again this year. I have recipe books for everyone. These are all of the recipes that were submitted, not just the winners. The winners are in the front. The ones that are legible. There were some ones that I couldn't read, but all of them are in here for you guys.
Well, you gave one out already.
Yes. So I just want to thank Member Gresham for emceeing the event and all of the board members who could attend. I hope you guys had such a great time. The winner was Jordan from Madison #1, and you guys got to try his dish earlier today, so I hope you really enjoyed it. There is a link in the presentation if you guys would like a virtual copy of the cookbook as well. And I want to say thank you to our communications team for marketing the event for us and coming to take pictures, as well as the Madison Center for the Arts for hosting us. And there are just some fun pictures from the event.
All right, so we will jump into our sustainability project overview. This year, Madison Food and Nutrition Services launched site-based passion projects to drive innovation in nutrition and wellness. Most notably, Madison Simus and Madison Heights transitioned to a reusable tray pilot program aimed at reducing cafeteria waste. Supported by grant funding, the initiative provides stainless steel trays and utensils managed through a partnership with Bold Reuse for professional collection and commercial washing. In a testament to the program's success, Senator Lauren Kuby's office plans to officially recognize the project on the Senate floor during the current session. At both sites, we fully transitioned from disposable trays to compostables and then to reusable stainless steel serviceware. This shift eliminated the need for daily disposable products, significantly reducing cafeteria waste. It also supports efforts to reduce forever chemicals. Importantly, this is the first program of its kind currently operating in Arizona schools using a commercial wash service model, positioning Madison as a leader in sustainable school nutrition practices. And I know that you've already had access to the slides. So just to kind of give a brief little overview, this is just our beginning inventory to kind of give you an idea of how much upfront we had to purchase. And the grant actually covered, all of this, so all of the trays and all of the utensils. But what I really find important is on the second slide here, where we look at pounds of waste that has so far been diverted. And if you were to look at one of our styrofoam trays, it's light as a feather. So just in the first couple of months that we've had the program, we've already diverted about 2,200 pounds of waste, which is pretty significant. And if you have additional, questions about the numbers, of course, I am happy to go over those with you as well. Oops. Quarterly nutrition focuses. The Madison Food Service Department believes that good nutrition is the foundation for lifelong health and academic success. That is why our Food and Nutrition Services team has introduced quarterly nutrition focuses, engaging, age-appropriate themes designed to help students learn about health and wellness in fun, meaningful ways. Each quarter, we highlighted a different topic, such as healthy habits for back to school, Arizona agriculture, staying healthy during cold and flu, and gut health is our current focus. And those are just a handful of pictures. I mean, we have a ton to share that are up on socials or in our blog. We did a dairy pop-up collaboration with the Dairy Council. It was a 2-day event at Madison Simus, and I'm telling you, they lined up out the door for a chance to try the smoothies and these little plush cows that we were giving away, so it was a huge success. Our manager, Angelica, in the next picture over, is sharing a raw carrot and hot honey salad that is for teaching the students about gut health and how incorporating raw foods can really help benefit the gut. The next picture over is a beet salad that they shared at Madison Meadows to engage the students with different fruits and vegetables that would help them stay healthy during cold and flu. And then, of course, we had for another ag focus right there, farmer's market at Park. The Lunchline Lowdown is our blog, and we feel that rolling out a blog is a very important communication tool designed to keep our families, staff, and community informed and engaged in the work that we do every day. The blog serves as a transparent and accessible space where we highlight key initiatives, share program updates, and showcase the impact of our efforts on student health, wellness, and academic success. Ultimately, this blog reflects our commitment to continuous improvement, collaboration, and ensuring that every student in Madison has access to nutritious meals and the knowledge to make healthy choices for life.
Okay, and we just want to give a little brief update of our free and reduced data and how that's looking for current school year. So we did have some slight decreases in both our free and reduced and our direct certification. You're going to hear a little bit more about changes to the SNAP program, which directly affect direct certification. We'll be talking, what I really want to highlight is what our outreach efforts are throughout the year, because those will become very important in the next upcoming school year. So currently, our outreach efforts focus on just pretty much continual messaging and links to the free and reduced meal application, whether that's our menus, our blog, our social media, just continuously. But we feel the thing that works the best really is our, when students have a negative meal debt, they will receive a email twice a week. These go out. It has a direct link to the meal application. And then our food service staff at the schools also reach out via phone call and will offer again the access to the application. So when there's a direct outreach from not only just us, but even people at the schools who are willing to do so, that is usually the most effective in actually getting those applications back. And so here's just a look. It's fiscal year 25 versus fiscal year 26, and has it by individual school for your information. And then this is direct certification. So remember, direct certification are those families that are receiving SNAP benefits and they directly certify for free and reduced meals. They do not fill out applications, and you'll be hearing a little bit about some changes to that program.
So the landscape for free and reduced meal price eligibility is shifting significantly due to legislative changes and the wind down of pandemic era support programs. At Madison, these changes are seen in a change in direct certification numbers. So Madison has seen a change in students automatically qualifying for free and reduced price meals through direct certification. Direct certification typically relies on a household's participation in programs like SNAP, TANF, or DPIR, and which are all federal assistance programs. Arizona SNAP as a whole, so let's talking about the entire state, according to the Department of Economic Security, so DES, Arizona as a whole is projected to see a 47% decline in total SNAP benefits, which can be significant. So this equates to approximately 424,000 residents losing coverage or seeing significantly reduced support. Okay. And now I just want to talk just a smidge about future legislation that impacts direct certification, because, obviously that's very important. But the decline in direct certification at Madison is driven by a shift from broad administrative flexibility to strict program integrity mandates. So here's a breakdown of some of the legislative drivers. The first one is the elimination of broad-based categorical eligibility, or BBCE. Arizona has removed the ability to categorically qualify households for SNAP based on non-cash services. So what does this mean? Families are no longer allowed to bypass asset tests or use higher income ceilings, which could be up to 200% of the federal poverty level. When a family loses SNAP due to these stricter rules, they are automatically removed from direct certification list. The second one is HB 2502, or as it's commonly known, the One Big Beautiful Bill. This legislation prioritizes frequent eligibility redeterminations, okay, and rigorous documentation. So this is shifting away from continuous coverage, and it means that many eligible families may fall off the rolls every July. And the third one is the 130% floor. So the state is actually reverting away from pandemic era waivers to a hard 130% of the federal poverty guide for SNAP. So, and just.
We're going to see the greatest impact in July because, okay, I just want to make sure I understand that.
That's correct, yep. So the FPG, so the Federal Poverty Guidelines, are basically income yardsticks, and they're used by the government to decide who qualifies for financial assistance. The bottom line for Madison is that families excluded from direct certification must now manually complete paper applications to qualify under the 185% limit, which is specific to school meals.
Okay, and then here's a look at just our remaining goals for the upcoming school year, as we want to continue to be self-supporting, and we rely heavily on participation in our programs to do this. So our current look at district-wide breakfast participation is 15.13%, so we're below the state average, which is 24% for our breakfast participation. And then our lunch participation is, for district-wide, is 64%, and we're above the state average, which is 51.5%. So because, we see breakfast participation as an area of focus, there are many obstacles to the breakfast program, but we're going to see what we can do to try to increase access or just increase participation in general in our breakfast participation. And then recently we started the after-school supper program. We call it a super snack, but it actually is a full meal, just like a lunch. This is a federally reimbursed program, just such as National School Lunch Program is, and it is open to any students on campus in a supervised program. So it can't just be they're getting out of school and heading home, but if they're in MAC or sports or tutoring or any kind of club that is supervised by anyone, they're open to come to this program. So we have this currently at Madison No. 1, Camel View, and we are looking to expand this program next year to other campuses, depending on staff availability. We do need to have a food service staff person on site after school to run the program. So that's kind of our obstacle to expansion.
Okay, now I get to talk about the fun stuff, and I'm going to talk a little quickly so we can get through this. We have the most comprehensive wellness policy in the state of Arizona, so that's awesome. It's recognized by ADE. It was done through the University of Arizona. They conducted a community needs assessment. We went through this whole interview process, and we're highlighted through that, so that was super awesome. Over 70% of our meals are scratch-based cooking. So we're working our way up there, which is awesome. Our average daily participation is 13.5% higher than the state average. Madison remains Arizona's only USDA Gold Turn Up the Beat awardee. So that was awesome. We kept it this year as well. We're a 3-time Healthy Meal Incentive awardee, which is awards done through USDA. We're recognized by both the Department of Education and USDA for our nutrition education efforts. Madison employees, we work one-on-one with legislators to advocate for school lunches. So Melissa and I went to DC, and here at the state capitol as well, we're always talking with them, letting them know what will work, what won't work. And we're the first public school in the state to use reusable trays and a wash service. And then here's a quick wellness policy update. So biggest things is HB 2164, or the Arizona Healthy Schools Act, is officially law July 1st. There is a scope of awareness up there that was provided from ADE, so it kind of talks about where food service concerned, where administration is concerned, and where we kind of overlap. Now we're still waiting guidance from ADE, whether it's going to it's going to be self-reported, but they're still waiting guidance to know if it's going to be done at a school level or if it's done at a district level. But it is not food services responsibility. They kind of want us away from that, just so it's not biased at all. The Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act passed this year, so we're kind of debating whether or not, once it becomes available, if we want to bring whole milk into the schools. But one thing that helps in our favor for this is we no longer need doctor's notes for milk alternatives that are nutritionally equivalent. There are new sodium targets for next year, or for school year 2027, but it's our goal always to stay ahead of that curve. And then starting in school year 2027, less than 10% of kcals can come from added sugars. I'm not going to go over this slide, but you guys can look at it. We didn't get the most participation this year through the local wellness policy assessment tool, but the triennial assessment was completed. I did that at the beginning of the year, and the end of the year will be completed by the end of the school year. And then this is a requested addendum to the wellness policy. This was recommended by ADE, and it basically just says Madison is committed to full compliance with the Arizona Healthy Schools Act, ensuring that all foods and beverages sold or served to students meet both federal and state established nutrition standards. The district will regularly review practices and provide staff training to maintain alignment with current guidelines and promote a healthy school environment. The current list of banned ingredients is all of those. So that yes, so this is to bring us in compliance with the law, strengthen our wellness policy as it was recommended by ADE to add this in there. Questions?
Wow. So I'm going to ask my questions because I need to go, but I needed to stay because you guys give such great presentations. You're doing such fabulous work. First of all, and so I'm going to go and then I'm going to turn the meeting over to Ms. Thompson. On the reusable trays, in a previous life, I was in the recycling and waste reduction industry. I worked in state government in 3 different states, and that is amazing. I mean, if you knew what happens in the production of styrene alone, it's not just the back end, it's the front end, and that polystyrene has never really been recyclable. So I'm just so impressed with the work that you're doing on that front. Amazing, amazing job. And then wanted to ask a question on, oh gosh, what was it? Is there any way to go back?
Yeah, where would you like to go back to?
I wanted to ask a really quick question on SNAP. So I'm going to give my annual plea, and I'm sure Dr. Guerin knows what I'm going to say, but I'm hoping we might consider in the registration packet requiring families to fill out the free and reduced lunch form. I'm just putting it out there. This might be the year maybe we think about it. I did it when my kids were in a charter school. I just feel like it's been done. We should consider it, especially because of the fact that the federal government is making it very hard for our families to qualify, and our kids need to eat. And so I'm just going to put that out there, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you for all your great work. We always love hearing from you guys because there's so much good news that you're sharing. You're doing a wonderful job. I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Thompson. Thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Ms. Gresham.
Sure, I'll go. Thank you. Wow, yeah, just you guys, you're rocking it. Thank you. You guys are doing all kinds of really, really cool stuff, and Just really appreciate all your efforts. So what's the plan for the reusable trays? Like, are you looking to look like, are there like benchmarks you're looking to before you grow it, or, yeah?
Yeah, so I'm actually because it's grant funded, it's obviously has to be done on a yearly basis, and I'm currently exploring options with Bold Reuse. And I hope, it'll be a summer project, but we would like to have that up and just fully probably functioning for at least another year. And that will also give us the opportunity to, maybe explore different like financial pathways, because, the cost associated with it is a little high. So, in order to keep it going, we'd have to explore, different grant options.
You'll keep it, the 2 schools for another
right
year
now,
and
yeah.
then see what, so is there like what's the worth it, I guess, like what's the balance, like making it worth it? Or is it just a matter of getting the grants, I guess? Yeah.
Yeah, well, so at SIMUS in particular, it's been a huge topic. Sustainability is huge, and that's really what kind of was the driving force of this. We had our passion projects, but SIMUS has year after year really pushed for compostables, and we're listening, but compostables are an expensive option, and they aren't, necessarily an option that can be fully biodegradable. And so we went with the stainless steels. And, at Heights, the manager was obviously really interested in doing sustainability as well. So benchmarker-wise, in terms of, what'll keep it going, I think it's just a matter of, if the manager can keep it going, because there is obviously, a learning hurdle that the staff has to go through, and that, well, actually the students picked up on it, really quick. But just, as long as they'll want to keep it going.
Cool. Well, I appreciate, it was always hard for me to volunteer in the cafeteria, because not just all the food waste as well as the trash and stuff, it was like, I couldn't look, it was, so hopefully this goes well. I had one other question as far as the free and reduced lunch application, since those are down, are we, this might be an obvious question, but then are we also seeing higher negative debt along with that? Is there like a correlation there?
Not necessarily. I would say our negative debt is pretty stable. It's
Okay.
It's been pretty stable.
Well, that's good to know. All right, thank you.
Mr. Holcomb.
Yes, you had this slide in there that showed the reduction or the amount we've lost on free and reduced lunch, and I couldn't quite tell from that slide, but it appears that that reduction is more than our loss in students by a significant amount.
The reduction in free and reduced lunch.
Yes, so that, in other words, one factor you could say is we have fewer students, so you'd, on a percentage basis, have it, but I think that reduction is much higher.
Overall, it wasn't like a huge decrease this year, but it could potentially be much
Right,
larger
but
next year.
our goal is really,
Prevent.
yeah, our goal is really to increase it as much as possible, because, yeah.
That would be always nice, but the big thing is you just want families who need the program to apply for the program.
Right.
They're on the program. I mean, that is the goal.
So,
Mr. Holcomb, to that point, each of those slides was the percentage comparison. So
No, I
as a
saw this, but-
percentage, it's not,
that's what I was trying to correlate, because the other thing is that one of the things we're looking at is the ASBA's legislative agenda, and President Kazi is in charge of that. I'm on the legislative committee. It would be very helpful if we could, if we could incorporate the appropriate things to do a SNAP and that, as well as things that should be on the ASBA's legislative agenda, because that affects schools across the district, or across the state. I'd really appreciate, Dr. Karen, if we could get some input so we could share that. In fact, we have our next meeting on a Thursday night, and it just really strikes me that that's some ways place where we really should reach out more, and have a lot of other groups that would be right there with us. But this is a totally, I don't think a lot of people make that, they know about the connection, but it's really not a driving force, and we could hopefully make that a driving force to try to fix that.
Give you that any information you need.
Yeah, you can reach out to me and I can get you some information on that.
Okay, I appreciate it.
I've just got a couple questions. First of all, thank you for this really wonderful presentation. I appreciate all that you are doing. My kids have some favorites of lunches over at Park. One of them was sick one day and is like, oh man, I missed the day of, and I can't even remember what it is right now. But they're like, well, I'm gonna, and then today one of them was saying, I think I'm gonna try that teriyaki chicken. It smells good and it looks really good and I haven't had it. So maybe if it comes up next month before school's over, I'm gonna try it. So I really appreciate all that all the food and nutrition staff are doing, not just you all, but the staffs at each of the school to make food not just something they have to eat, but they're really excited to see what comes out on the menu. My first question is related to the grant-funded program. How much is the grant for those 2 sites that you're getting currently?
Okay, so because it started in February, it was
Not a
a
full
lot
year.
less. Yeah, it was about to get all of the trays and the utensils and all of that. We were just under about 83,000 for both sites. So, but to do each individual site for the entire year, we'd be looking at a tick under 100,000. So that's why the grant funding is so important. Because we hear our sites, we hear how important it is to, not just the students, but the community itself, how important sustainability is to them. But, of course, there's always that caveat about how much it costs. So that's why I will be, completely immersed in grants this summer, trying to make it work.
I so appreciate you going out to get those grants. I think it's very important for our community to understand how expensive these things are. Not that we shouldn't be doing them or shouldn't be finding the grants to do them, but so that there's an understanding that if there isn't a grant to be able to do this, or if legislation that says you have to spend 60% of your total budgets on your classroom, this would definitely be something that wouldn't be a classroom expense and would have to be on the chopping block, unfortunately, even though it would be in demand from our community. So I really appreciate you giving us that number. I hope you get all kinds of grant funding, and we could take a look at how this is these type of things are supported, and really appreciate you leaning in that space.
It's a start of, more school districts also doing it, because that will hopefully drive down costs.
Yeah. I joked as you were saying it, I'm like, everything old is new again. I'm seeing myself walking through the lunch line with the trays and the silverware. So thank you for that. The second thing I just wanted to mention was related to the SNAP issues, and something that President Kazi brought up. This drop in SNAP that is upcoming is enormous. And I personally don't think it is a direct correlation to the actual needs of the people who are being kicked off of those benefits. There is a massive backlog for people getting onto benefits. I heard a story last week about people waiting months and even a year to get qualified. This is going to be a massive problem for people around the state. And when you think about how many children are impacted when their families don't get those benefits and they aren't automatically qualified, I'm concerned that we're not going to see as many people directly qualify. I think we're going to see people nervous about filling out forms when they think family members could be put in danger if somebody was to get a hold of that information. So I think we're looking at some headwinds, and I think, I appreciate all you're doing to make sure that our kids, the neediest of our kids, are getting fed, and they're healthy and they're ready to learn. But I think it's going to be something that we're going to want to look at in next fall to see what the free and reduced comparison looks like then. If we need to start talking to our communities about lunch debt in a different way, if that does start to change, because I hope that's one of the things that we're doing as a community, is taking care of the neediest in in our community. So it wasn't really a question, but I'll be watching those numbers and know you're doing your best to support those students. So thank you. Any other questions? With that, thank you so much for your presentation today. And I know Ms. Kazi.
Thank you.
Ms. Kazi's sorry she had to leave a little bit early. Okay, last item on the agenda is discussion of the ASBA proposed political agenda. Mr. Holcomb, are you taking the lead on this one, or are you taking the lead, Ms. Gresham?
I think that's me as the
Okay.
delegate.
Take it away.
It's that time of year again. So if you guys, we can definitely look at adding something from food services. If they want to suggest something, would be great. But otherwise, these look pretty good, but we'll take suggestions and submit them again to ASBA, we will then vote on them in September. And so this was, 2026 was, this is the one we voted on last year for this year's legislative session, so then we'll vote on the 27 agenda this year. So yeah, if we want to change or add anything, we will vote on this, I guess, in the next meeting or at some point. But other than, if there's anything other than something about SNAP we could add.
There's one thing I'd like to do, and I'd appreciate some thought on it, because I've talked a bit with President Kazi about, it'd be nice to make the legislative agenda a little bit more affirmative, in that we seem to be playing defense all the time. And at least I am trying to identify things in particular that maybe are what's already listed here, because this is fairly comprehensive, you can get overdone. But in some fashion have the legislative agenda really push. So these are things we want to positively push instead of wait for them or oppose. These are things that we want to go out and make a more positive effort to have passed, so that we're not just playing defense all the time. And I know it's difficult, we have to, because there's so much coming our way. But just a thought.
No, good, yeah, and then this, of course, is the full ASBA statewide that all the districts vote on, and so it's fairly detailed, but a lot of it is protecting what we do have.
Right.
And then, a wish list of things we wish we could have someday. So
I feel like I know we can only submit 5 priorities, hence some of the verbose language that we have, because we wanted to make sure everything was included in our 5 priorities. But I feel like reading ours, they are very proactive. It's not a please don't cut us anymore. It's like, no, we want consistent, dedicated sources of base funding. Get off your fannies and do it. And I think that you're right, Mr. Holcomb. I hope that the delegate assembly recognizes that.
Yeah.
But I fear they often get to their base instincts about what their specific communities need. But I hope that you all that will be there will be able to help communicate that. I'm wondering if there's a way somewhere in here to put, there might be, it's been a while since I've looked over these, but something, maybe it's within student support, but we need to make sure that I don't think it's just the SNAP issues and the school lunch issues, but there's other, social emotional supports for students, counselors. We have some of that in the first consistent base funding language. So maybe there's a way to tweak that somehow to make sure that there are other supports, including, basic, I don't want to say basic needs, that's too broad of a brush, but something about continued support for neediest of students in free and reduced lunch programs and other things.
Because we're limited to 5.
Yeah.
And things change. I understand it's important, but as far as breadth of impact, the safety and protection, the number 5, about the safe storage, I understand that's important.
Well,
that
as you
too.
recall, last year, we
But,
did the resolution, and I think that we put this on there because it was right after the incident we had, so.
Right. But I think there's things that we could do that would have a broader impact
I think we
than
do get
that.
like an extra, we get like a bonus or something, an alternate suggestion, so we can
I
always,
have altered it.
we can always put in
Well,
put something in as the bonus one.
I'm just thinking of the 5. Part of what I'm looking at is looking at that in it's been on there, well, we have that. I just think there's some broader issues that we're dealing. And that's already being focused on quite a bit in a number of different areas. I think we could possibly use that one to better effect. And what I was looking for is sort of support from the board too. The idea is not just the specific things, but really did this be 15 plus years ago when I was much more involved in the ASBA. Early on, I actually got them at one point to have the legislative agenda identify, these are things we want to accomplish this year.
Yeah.
This is something that's the next 3 years or 5 years, long term, so that we had an idea to say, this is something we really, we want to emphasize and try to work, or this is something we think we can do
Well-
now, versus a lot of this is long-term wish list.
Well, radically, this shouldn't be a legislative agenda that only comes up for discussion in January with the legislature. It should be a list of things people are talking to candidates about when they're running in the primary and then in the general election, to see how they really feel about supporting public schools. Kind of thinking about what you're saying, actually, I know Prop 123 we've talked about till we're blue in the face, and no one seems to have a solution for that funding. But 1, 2, and 3 are accountability for funding, supporting teacher recruitment and retention with funding, providing consistent base funding.
Do you see a theme here?
I see a theme, but I really don't care how they get the money. If it's at the land trust, or if it's raising taxes. I'm wondering if there is a way to modify even number 4 to talk about funding for, not just the funding we've listed above, but things like school lunch, and so it's both state and federal issues around funding, and maybe take the 1, 2, 3 emphasis away, but in the same way address it.
We shouldn't have had to have a Prop 2, 3 in the first place.
Right.
But,
1, 2, 3 is one way, but yeah, it doesn't, like I say, it doesn't matter where it comes, so much that it comes from. It matters that the funding be available.
what we could also do is, and I think because they don't do like this year and then in future years, is because it's never changes. That's why number 4 is still on here. That's why so we could also look, if we want to go through the ASBA one and look at like which ones we like or which ones we want to highlight, because this really covers all of ours, but in more detail. And they have to look at rural schools, and there's a lot of competing other interests. So that's one way we could.
Well, that would be very helpful to me as being a member on the committee, looking at that.
It's a really good process, actually.
It is, and it's a great learning process. And I would also like really to get input from staff, from Barb, Scott, everybody, that say, this is something that, if you had, if you lost your sanity and wanted to be on a school board, this is what I'd look for. This is one thing, if I could get it.
Or even the different departments, like you said, like food services, they could give us information and all the
Right,
other.
but that would be helpful if we had that before, if we could get some of that input before May 12th.
What's the deadline for submitting these, Danielle? Do you remember?
It is 1 week after our May 12th meeting.
Oh, well, that's not helpful.
But,
Okay.
But I think if we I think since we're having this discussion now, is get that input, try to get that input before the 12th.
Right, but there won't be an opportunity for discussion. It'll just be something that's presented, so
We'd have to discuss it.
we'd have to
during the
discuss it during the meeting.
And then vote on it.
Well, part of what we could do, I do believe would be appropriate, is if somebody had a suggestion and say, this is what we'd like to have. And each one of us could submit it through the superintendent, because we're not discussing it among ourselves. But
Yeah.
actually present it and said, I'd like to do.
I think that's how we've done it before, right? Just take our current one and then whatever, add or take off.
Right.
So Board Member Gresham, you'll be the point person on this, making a revision for the, okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so I think what I heard was maybe some modifications to 4 and or 5 in some way, thinking about maybe some language about food and nutrition services, and if there's anything else, broad federal, state funding categories that would need to be included in there, maybe some reworking of one of those languages, some of that language, and maybe we can look at each of the board members can look at the 26 political agenda from ASBA and see if there's anything specific they want to share with the superintendent.
Yep.
Okay?
And, we don't have to have 5 if we cover everything in 3 or 4, that too. They're usually all included in the statewide ones. So.
Right.
And not to make it overly complicated, but health insurance has become such a major pressure point on districts. When we look at food and nutrition, we also look at providing being able to afford to provide health care for employees.
Good point.
Yeah,
I have
and it would
language I
be-
want to use that is not appropriate for a public meeting, so
It shouldn't be
I'm not
included
going
on
to
our-
say it out loud.
On our list of
But
requests.
pay for the stuff that needs to be paid for. Okay, any other input, or are we ready to move on?
I keep making eye contact with Deputy Marshall.
It's just going to kick me under the table.
Well,
Go ahead, Ms. Marshall.
Member Holcomb, you got me to thinking when you asked for some input. I do see that several things are already on the list, but I know Assistant Superintendent Thompson has shared with you about the proposed legislation and the possibility of the 60% of the budget being spent in the classroom, but they're using an old version definition of in the classroom.
Yeah.
And so if they could update to what that current definition was of all the supports, including food services, transportation, school safety, that go to the child's well-being and do make an impact on a child's education.
Right. But, yeah,
I love that idea, Deputy Marshall. What if we had because Mr. Thompson supervises food service, if we had Board Member Gresham collaborate with that department to have some language related to the 60% spending along with some food service?
My only
language.
concern is that might be something that's going to the ballot and not really a legislative issue for next year. If there's a need to change the definition as I don't know how it will show up in that piece of legislation that could pass here in the next couple and then go to the ballot. So but if there's a need to go and change the language with, is it Auditor General's office that is using
The
the
Auditor General
definition?
that defines the current reporting process and how that definition works. What I would suggest, thinking about the input you're all giving, is that so much of what we're talking about is just lack of funding.
Yeah.
And so I think we can just tweak what you have and highlight how the lack of funding impacts our ability to deliver on whatever goal might be set in front of us, whether it's 60% or whatever. And that includes the fact that basically the legislature has left, trust fund dollars that are dedicated to public education unused and untapped to help fund an underfunded system. I'd like to get off the words Prop 123 because we've really moved beyond it, and people kind of keep getting trapped in that conversation. What we're talking about is the trust land monies that are available for public education that are not being used towards public education.
Well, I will go beyond that and say the Constitution says that they should be adequately funding our public schools. It doesn't matter whether it's from the trust fund or not. They need to be adequately funding public schools.
100%.
And with not funding public schools appropriately, and with putting undue restrictions on funding that they are providing, they aren't allowing us and other districts across the state to provide a fair and free education to students across the state.
But you guys
So I
have the
think there's-
tenets of the discussion and the concerns here. I think we could just maybe modernize it for the current
Yeah.
things that are in front of us to kind of highlight our concerns in those areas at the same time, staying true to the things you've already shown concern with.
Yeah.
Well, if I may, don't forget there's two parts to doing the recommendations. And one is the recommendation of the language. The second is the reasoning. And the reasoning is part of what you can use for examples and that do it too. I personally, if you've got an idea to say, this is how I think it should be done, because you live it. I mean, we come through it, and it's brought to us, but you have to live with this shit.
Yep.
I mean, to be perfectly honest with you. And so I've always been very interested in getting from you who are on the front lines, this is what it should do, or this is how we put it. We still have to vote on it, look at it and go through it, but that is invaluable input. And so I'd appreciate it if you would be willing to do that.
The art of politics is always trying to say the same thing you've always said, but in a timely way, in a contemporary manner, so that you get the attention that you deserve. So I don't think we're talking about anything new, but we're talking about how we might tweak the way we're presenting it to highlight the concerns you guys have been talking about for many meetings now.
And what I'm suggesting is tweak away.
Understood. Understood.
Okay, so this will come back at our next meeting.
Well,
Next item.
But we'll try to get input collected
Yes, it will
before
come
the next
back.
meeting, so that.
It will come back with the input as discussed here today and other conversations that will happen, because we need to have a vote on it at the May 12th meeting in order to be considered by ASBA.
And hopefully we can circulate it, and I've taken that beforehand so that we have a chance to cognate on it for a bit. Thank you.
We will put a draft in the weekly after, based on this input.
Great. Thank you. Last item on the agenda, future meetings. Dr. Guerin.
Yes, board members, our next board meeting is May 12th. We will only have one board meeting in May, and we will have a district budget revision from Mr. Thompson, a co-teaching presentation. That work is, we're so proud of it, and it's going so well, so excited to hear about that. And I also highlighted the foundation will be presenting, will be bringing for an action item the new discipline matrix. Again, we'll need to vote on the ASBA proposed political agenda, and we'll seek your approval on the district budget revision. Please note all the promotion ceremonies and end of the year recognitions coming up, and then we will have a full meeting June 9th, which will be quite a busy meeting, and then we've penciled in a virtual meeting at the end of June in anticipation of the legislation with a late budget, so we'll be ready to go on that.
Great. Any questions or comments for Dr. Guerin? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Gresham, seconded by Mr. Holcomb. Please vote. And I have to tell Ms. Kazi, I discovered there's a little button on top that says show voting, and you can click on it and it tells you what the last vote was.
Ooh.
How exciting. Motion passes unanimously. Meeting adjourned.